Did this episode give anyone Cars 2 vibes? With all the weapons, flamethrowers, shovel beards, catapults, all that good stuff. But you know what they did? Pixar and Disney made it a point to not include a single gun that fires bullets in this episode, which I found to be an interesting and very deliberate choice. Everyone's got a flamethrower. Some of them have the catapults, some of them have the hammers and whatnot, and they have all the weird mohawk decor as well. And of course, the electroshock devices that the opposing army in the Badlands have. But yeah, guys, today, of course, we'll be breaking down Road Rumblers, the 8th episode of Cars on the Road. Now, of course, Cars on the Road debuted on Disney Plus. Was it almost 3 months ago? But this was kind of my intention. Whenever I have a dearth in content and I have a free moment, I'll break down one of the episodes. And of course, we have one more to go. Then I'll rank all the episodes, and then we're going to talk about where the Cars franchise goes from here. All right, so let's just dive right in. I really do like the opening of this episode because it makes total sense after spending hours on the road together that McQueen and Mater would eventually have a dispute. Their insults and complaints are so petty and trivial. I love it. But yeah, if they never had an argument, if it was all just roses and lollipops, it really wouldn't be too realistic. But my number one Easter egg is the Tesla pickup truck reference from Mater. It would be cool to see that in animated form, but obviously you guys know Tesla is the big electric car manufacturer in the United States. So let's just rip the Band-Aid right off the bat here with the reskin models of this episode. There's a lot. I'm not going to go through them all because I don't want to be depressed, but we'll go through some of them. You can see one that looks like one of the Salt Flats racers, Revo Koss and Gearston Marshall. One with Fishtails model from Cars 3. There's a lot of Demolition Derby ones in here too. There's one that mirrors actually one of the ghosts from Lights Out just a few episodes ago. That one actually looks pretty cool. That was a new model for Cars on the Road, but they have used it a few times already during the series. The one that I feel is the most atrocious, the most egregious, is the Mr. Drippy lookalike because it's just another water truck and it's pretty much the same color as him, and I'll show you guys a better picture of him later on. There's a Bill Rev station wagon, which is in almost every episode of Cars on the Road, to be quite frank. There's a taco pickup truck model, a broadside one as well. Superfly's in there with the big exhaust pipes that stick out of the engine, and of course, the list goes on. Now, if you weren't aware, this episode was heavily influenced by the Mad Max franchise. The Thundercone that Mater and McQueen duel in is the carification of the Thunderdome from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. I have not seen the older Mad Max films. I have seen Mad Max Fury Road, which was, one of the newer ones that came out a little less than 10 years ago with Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron. Amazing, amazing film. And a lot of this episode is definitely taken from that with all the add-ons to their vehicles, the weapons, and we'll get into a few more things here. In the older film, Tina Turner's character looks a lot like the Chieftess, and this monstrous truck here with all the drums and the music is very similar to this designated music vehicle in Mad Max Fury Road. So when they went on expeditions, they would always bring this music vehicle. This really weird looking guy would stand on the front of it and play a guitar. It's just so wild, so out there, but it makes sense. It fits within that world because it's very cult-like, very tribal. All right, so we're introduced to some of the named characters in this episode that are named in the credits. You got Squat, who just looks animalistic. I love that. I love her snorting. The Chieftess herself, and then Jeremy peeks his head out here first, who kind of looks like a Hugo model, one of the Lemon families from Cars 2. Now, I wonder if Mater gets any Porta Corsa vibes when he says "Dad gum" here with his flamethrower, because of course in Cars 2, when he said that, his internal computer would whip out his Gatling guns. I must say, the centripetal force keeping Mater and McQueen from simply falling to the ground is off the charts in this scene. This is a steep thunder cone here. I don't think it's too realistic that they could just drive around at 50 miles an hour and be okay. All right, when Mater says he saw someone get destroyed and then come back to life on TV, I really wonder what he's referring to. It could be a variety of things for real, because fake deaths are quite popular in action movies and franchises these days. By the way, this has to be out in the Appalachian Mountains because it's pretty much the only significant mountain range out east, but to be honest, it more resembles the southwest of the United States or even South America. Love how this flashback scene basically shows like Motor Turner, the blue Bill Rev station wagon, and then Mr. Drippy, and even a Suki repaint that's animated in the same style that the Suki type characters were, and kind of like that, stereotypical anime Japanese type of vibe. I also love how Cap and Long Leggy and Chieftess look at each other as if they're prepared to die in this battle. They're like, let's ride, brother. This guy has got to be, he's got a spinning saw blade just like Miss Fritter, so he must have maybe seen the Demolition Derby and was like, I want that. And of course, we saw this like same prop in the last episode of the movie set. McQueen's speech here brings me right back to Mater's speech in London to the Lemons that seems to almost convince them, not to fight, but obviously doesn't work. Same thing happens here. This action scene, though, is insane. The amount of carnage here is almost worse than Cars 2, but of course, the main difference from Cars 2 is that they all survive, whereas in Cars 2, a lot of cars died. Captain Longleggy eats it majorly here, but of course, we see him later and he's just fine. So this would have been the perfect time to cameo Van and Minnie, of course, from Cars 1 and Cars 2, but instead they gave us a repaint of Van, a blatant repaint of that character, and then this random red car, which is also a repaint of many other characters. What a shame. What a missed opportunity. And so yeah, everyone survives, everyone's socializing. Chieftess even freed her slave VW bugs. Like, wow, McQueen and Mater they're life-changing. But yeah, that's all I have from this episode. This episode certainly is action-packed with excitement, but in terms of Easter eggs, it's quite lean, especially compared to the B-movie episode, which was stock full of them. This little gas station that doesn't even have a gas pump, it doesn't even have a name, it just has the little droplet logo, was disappointing. They could have put something else in there. Almost all the cars are indeed reskins, but it certainly introduced some wild characters with these crazy mohawks and shovel beards and all that good stuff. But yeah, like I said, almost everyone's a reskin. Even Chieftess is. Even Captain Longleggy is a Dustin Mellows remodel. So very, very few new castings in this episode, if really any at all. So that's a little disappointing. I guess maybe Squat is, although Squat still kind of looks familiar to like a Cars 1 car. Now, if you're a collector of the diecast, you are pretty stoked, and I am very excited for the stuff that they'll make from this episode, which of course they'll be tapping into for 2023. And yeah, I really do love Squat for some reason. She's just a badass. Like, let me know in the comment section below, who was your favorite character from the episode, and how does this one rank overall for you? It's pretty mid for me, probably sits at 5 or 6, just because, I don't know, I really like digging into the Easter eggs, and there wasn't much for me to dig into for this episode. I also, again, like, this and the Salt Flats episode really bring to the forefront the reskin issue, but in all fairness, they've done this forever. They did in the Planes movies. The Planes movies take from the Cars movies. The Planes movies are even worse in some sense. They just don't have as much attention. I was rewatching a scene the other day, and they like flash in between different countries of different crowds watching Dusty Crop Hopper, and there's cars in every single one of them. Like the same exact car appears in every single one of those scenes, and that car is almost identical to Brian Fuel from Cars 2. So there's that, it's not all bad. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I appreciate the support as always. I'll see you guys soon for the breakdown of the final episode, Getting Hitched. Bye now.